Welcome back to the Overall Fit for Life podcast with Deloitte Smith and Sinclair Stinson. Today we are picking up where we left off last week on boundaries as it was going to transition into self love. So we stopped so that we could pick it up today because it's a very important topic. It's a very can be controversial kind of topic. So before we start, I want to go ahead and address that these are our opinions. We have never talked about it, so we may disagree on some points. We may agree on points, but what we want is to have a healthy conversation, and we do not intend to offend anyone with our thought processes. So now that that's out of the way, we'll go ahead and get started. And I will let you start off. Self love. What is self love to you?
Self-love to me would be loving yourself and setting the standard of how other people should love you correctly and treat you with respect that you do deserve. And I say that because self-love, I know others may like for when I first started, like, oh, the self-love, my concept of it, oh, like I'm gonna go spend money on myself. I'm gonna go do spend money on things that I can do for myself. Okay. It could be anything, go shopping or whatever. That's self love. But what if you can't always do that? So you're gonna like stop doing self love then, you know what I'm saying? Like when things get hard, finances, you can't do all that spending. So then what are you supposed to do? Not love yourself until you have more money. So again, self love to me is again just the fact that you're loving yourself through the journey and process, wherever you're trying to go, whatever it is that you're doing, but ultimately putting yourself first so you know how you should be treated and how others should treat you. Because if you don't set the standard, then anyone can try to treat you in any type of way.
Yep, I agree with that. I agree with that. I think it's the unwavering commitment to yourself that you are going to treat yourself better than anyone can. Therefore, when somebody does come into your life, whether it be a friendship or a relationship, there's that unwavering commitment to yourself that you're not going to accept anything less than what you give yourself. And
Mhm.
if you can do that, I think it's easier to then find somebody that you connect with rather than I feel a lot of times people get into relationships seeking what they don't feel for themselves. And whether it be a friendship or a relationship, there are people out there that kind of understand that process. This person does not feel good about themselves. They don't think highly of themselves, and they can take advantage of that.
Mhm.
In the beginning, they're the perfect person. They're
Yeah.
the person that you need. They're the person that you want. And then as time goes on, they then can take advantage of that fact that you don't love yourself enough. So I agree exactly with what you said.
Yeah, because I can't go looking for love into hoping someone can do that for me. Because what if they don't do it the way I want? Then giving an expectation that I'm not going to be able to receive. Because again, they can't do something that I need to do for myself first. If I lay it out first, then that's how, relationships, you have to start loving yourself first in order for someone to love you. So the self love thing is very important because I was just talking to a friend last night. We were just talking, hanging out, and we just got into like, goal planning, just kind of like looking ahead in the future. And one of the things that I mentioned, looking back and reflecting of like last past like 2 years, was the hardest thing for me walking away from something that's not no longer good for me. Maybe it was good for me, and um what I thought it was good, I should say, was not really after the fact that I walked away. I looked at, okay, why was it so hard to walk away? Because I was putting my identity into something and someone, but I didn't put my identity in the things that I'm good at, my skills and my gifts. So I felt like I was attached to something because I didn't know what else to do, because I didn't know what was around me or what makes Sinclair Sinclair. Like, what do I love doing? Like, what makes me happy? Like, all these things, because it was so focused on someone that I lost track of what's around me. And so walking away, because obviously that's hard when that's all you know. That's all you know, who to go to, talk to, do things with, go everywhere with. And it was like there's nothing else that was following me. So again, I attached myself into something and someone when I didn't attach myself in the things that I could go to. So when I had to walk away, I had to go into the self-love mode where I had to go find the things that makes me happy, things that I can go to when I'm under stress or pressure, or just things so I can reconnect with myself and who I am, because who I thought I was on things that aren't me though. You know, so again, I have self-love and okay, going to the bookstore, buying a book, doing a facial, going to work out. Like, these are the things that are going to constantly fill me up, because every single day isn't going to be a happy day, a good day. So, but a bad day doesn't mean I have a bad life. But if I'm going through a bad day, then I'm going to self-love. So again, self-care. My self-care is going to be look like might be different from someone else, because I mean that makes sense, because everyone doesn't like the same stuff and we don't do the same things that we all do. So I had to go through those things to understand what it is. Like, how do I self love? How do I do things that I can make sure my cup is full? Because sometimes I might not have a full cup, but there's things that I can do to fill it back up. Like, you know, so your cup is getting empty. Well, you know how to like go refill it. But what are the things you are going to do to refill it though? Like, obviously, like gym, or maybe it's spending. But then if you're analyzing and looking to your future and goals, sorry, that you have to remember, well, you can't just go ahead and keep spending.
Mhm.
If you have a goal and you have things you want to take care of, maybe it's less debt, or maybe it's to invest into more of your accounts with the more money you put aside every month. So again, your self-love might have to be readjusted. It might not be the self-love what you were doing in one season, because now you're going to a different season. You might have to look at more things you can do to love yourself than just in those, like maybe 5 things. Maybe you're adding more things over here now.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, Self love almost is an act of selfishness. It is taking the time to really focus on you, which can feel selfish at times, especially when you're in a relationship or you have kids, or someone close to you wants to do something and you are in that moment where you're like, I need time for me. It almost feels like you're being selfish. Why am I being selfish with my time? But it's important because that selfishness then allows you to be everything that you want to be for everyone. So many times I have people that I talk to, especially when I'm doing personal training, they feel bad for taking that time. Oh, well, I should, I should be
Mhm.
with my kids, but I'm taking time to work out. Well, the time that you're taking to work out now allows you to be 100% invested in that time with your kids or your spouse or your friends, because you have taken that time for yourself. So you're you have to give to yourself so you can give 100% to everybody else. And I think a lot of people miss that. They are so busy giving, giving, giving that they don't take time for themselves, and it's exhausting. If you don't take that time to say, "Hey, I'm going to take an hour to myself and just be with myself, be selfish with myself," it then allows you to give more energy to kind of everything else.
Yeah. When you were talking about selfish, It was like last year in December, like end of last year, I was getting myself prepared for how I'm going to move into this year. And one of the things I had written down on a post-it note was selfish and separation season. I made like a video because I was like, okay, I'm going to make a video how I feel about it, because people, like you say, look at it way differently as it's a negative thing, like the word selfish. And it's really not, because if you are giving, that's your natural gift. Like you're good at, like there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great thing, because hopefully you can inspire others to do more what you do, right? And however, if you don't aren't selfish, you're going to put yourself last. You're going to end up like, oh, I'm just going to let me pause this, but let me go to this because someone needs my attention now. So I'm going to pause this, but go here. You're going to constantly like wear yourself out, and you're going to become like naturally exhausted. Because I was becoming like that. I'm naturally like able to like somehow, hey, like I can multitask, but then obviously sometimes you don't need to multitask. You just need to pay yourself attention on this one specific thing. If you're able to multitask, it's a great gift, but then it's like, well, you're tired now, you don't want to do all the things you wanted to do for your day because of all the other things you're able to like be there for. And so I told myself what selfish and separation season is, making sure that I'm on track, so then the rest of the year I'm going to stay sharpened enough where I'm not going to fall between the cracks. Because I made that a post-it note because I was like, I'm gonna stand on what I'm writing about and how I feel, because no one can knock me off unless I allow it to happen. So I'm being selfish because I'm still gonna be Sinclair, the giving person, naturally, the person that is positive, but I'm still gonna be selfish, like, okay, like with more of my time, because I still have things with my time that I need to put to with my goals and that I have in motion. So again, you're being selfish, but also that time being selfish is a great thing because you can separate yourself from being around the crowd. If you're someone that's like, the charisma of like, wow, like people want to talk about you and, bring you to the events and stuff like that, that's great. But then you can also now be selfish and like, you know what, I need to just be by myself, or I need to be off social media, or I need to not feel like I have to go to every party invite. I can separate myself so I can be more in tune to myself, because the more that the higher and the bigger your goals are, you're gonna have to like have to keep reflecting every week, not just like one time a month. Like it's actively having to reassess yourself and the progress that you're doing, because then it's like, okay, well, I did do a lot this week of my selfishness. Okay, then I can go next week to this invite because I had the time where I feel good. I feel I'm in a good position and place. Now I can add those things. Now I can be more sociable. Like it's not where you can't be sociable. It's just having a balance and be strategic of like, okay, I'm not going to do all these things. I can like, free up my space and my time, because again, you don't need to spend it on one thing. There's other things you're going to put your time and investments into. So if you're not selfish, then people are going to think they're going to expect you to be available 24/7, and you can't do that. But again, they're selfish too. Think about it. Like they don't respond to your text, or they might not call you right away. So why do you feel like you have to do that too?
Mhm.
You can be selfish, meaning you can spend some time where like, hey, like I'll call you back, I'm not sure when, but I'm gonna call you back. Like you at least acknowledge something that you're gonna do. It might not be right away. So I think that's also a selfish. It's like, I'm not gonna be there right when you want me to. I'm gonna be there when I can be there, when the time is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it's very important to kind of understand that selfishness, like you said, it has a negative connotation to it, but it's a very positive thing. It's
Yeah.
positive to be selfish with your time, because time is a commodity that you can't get back.
Mhm.
So all that time that you say, I don't have time for myself because I'm always giving it to everybody else. Well, that's a choice. And in that choice, you're making that the other people more of a priority. And like you said, they become to get a little selfish, not only with the way they handle their time, but also the understanding that you're always here. So why aren't you here? I
Mhm.
need you. This is about me. I need you. Why aren't you here? So taking that time and saying, hey, which relates back to the boundaries, I'm going to take this selfish time for me, creating this boundary of I need me time too. I'm not saying that I won't be there for you, but in this moment, I'm going to say, hey, I need time for me. I will get back to you. I promise. You know how I am. I'm always there for you. But right now, this is me.
Yeah, you don't really have to owe your someone an explanation of why you're being selfish too. Like, because how I look at it, you have to do what you gotta do.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I think also if the when you have to explain yourself, I just to be honest, I just think that like they don't really respect that you need to get yourself together because that's kind of it's going to turn toxic, I would say, because if I'm causing a problem because someone telling me they need time or whatever it is to get themselves together. I'm going through it. I just kind of feel depressed this week. Like, it's not you or anything. Like, I'm not going to keep arguing why that's the case. That's just how they feel. And they have to make their adjustments that works for them, and um, when it comes for me, how I'm looking at it, like the selfishness, I have like a balance of it. And I look at it like, hey, people that respect how I feel and understand, and I don't have to accommodate. And that goes back to boundaries. Like the moment you have to accommodate is a moment like that's not a boundary because you just, again, putting someone else first before you. So I'm not going to accommodate with people that understand and respect me. I'm going to accommodate when people don't respect me because now you have to make sure they like it the way they want it, not the way that you need it for yourself and your well-being. So again, I know then who I can, surround myself with, like who my real friends are, who I should be giving my energy into. Because if you're again like on a mission for a vision or your goals, you have to give yourself that time and grace. And again, if you're a go-getter, well, like if someone has a problem with it, like that just means that they're critiquing you and what you need, but they should be focused on themselves, but they're so worried about what you need for yourself that again, that's their own problem. It's like a you problem. And that's not a you. I mean, it's not a you problem. It's their problem. So again, I was reading this thing and it was like, your future will thank you. I can't cause myself to be stressed out because it's not going to help me. I'm going to have health problems and all these things. So if I don't do that now, how am I going to really do it later on in the future? Like if you don't do something now, how are you going to know how to navigate when other things appear? Because it's like, again, it just makes sense. If you want these higher things and you can't handle it now, you're not going to handle it when you get it.
Right.
Like, it's not like, oh yeah, I just know how to get it. Like, no, that makes no sense. Again, self-love is basically like figuring out how can I strengthen my strengths? Like, how can I love myself correctly? Like loving yourself is a very big thing because again, how you talk to yourself is self-love. Like, how do you speak into yourself? Positive, negative. Again, self-love is like you're pouring into your cup, no one else is pouring into it. We're leaving everyone else out. It's you. So again, self-love is a personal thing. Like this is personal. It's you. So again, how are you pouring in yourself? You can't be mad if someone's not pouring into your cup. That just shows that like you're spending so much time expecting someone to pour your cup up, but you rather have them do it in a say and you won't do it for yourself though. Like that's what I'm saying. People put themselves last all the time. They don't even realize it, but they do it all the time. And it's like you don't think about it until later you feel like so devastated and all that. But you don't realize those little minor small things you didn't pick up then is because again, you just let it occur. And it's something wrong with that. I'm not gonna act like I haven't done that all the time in my life. Until I realize that if I don't figure out the solution, then I'm gonna have someone else figure it out, but it's not going to be in my best interest because they're not me. I'm my person. Only person I know is who I am, is Sinclair. No one knows. I can't tell someone what works for them. Like that doesn't make sense. So again, my journey of self-love is making sure like how do I look at myself in the mirror? How do I move with confidence and speak highly about myself? What are the affirmations I'm telling myself? Like I am or I'm going to. Like the going is like the idea. I am is like I'm on a mission to do that every single day. I'm doing that right now. I am going to be in the gym. I am going to I no hold on, my bad. I am smart. I am confident. I am strong or all these things because I'm doing the things that I am like that I am. Like I'm in the gym. So of course I'm getting strong. I am smart because I am reading my books. I'm not going to like because again, I was writing that out before, like I am going, like so I was like, I am going to go what's a self-love thing? I am going to attend a church, whatever. So I kept saying I'm going to, like I kept going to. So next week I was saying I'm going to, and then next week I was still saying that. So I said I am attending a church. So I am, and I did it. So I was like, going is kind of like I don't know when or where, but it's gonna happen. I'm not sure when, but like if you can do it now, like then do it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I agree. Um, Kind of leads into something that it's kind of hard to talk about because it's just one of those things. So, do you feel? I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase it. Do you feel that you can learn to love? Learning is love something that you learn?
Sorry, I'm trying to hold on. Is love something that you can learn? Yeah. We got to love our partners how they want to be loved, right?
Oh, yeah, to a degree, but when you okay, you learn to love aspects of how to communicate, but you have that emotion on your own. That's something that you have. If you meet someone and you have a feeling for them, you have love for them. Now, how to love them, you do have to learn how to love them. But if somebody was to say, for instance, me and my wife, I love my wife. That's something, an emotion that I have. Now that we're married, we have kids, we do have to discover how to love them and love her in a sense. She has to learn how to love me, especially as we grow together and things change. We have to learn how to adapt that emotion in itself. But I don't really think that you meet someone and you're like, oh, I got to learn how to love this person. You just have that emotion. If that emotion is there and you're with that person and you're having a good time and things are going well, you love that person. Would you agree with that or disagree?
Yeah, this is kind of hard. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's
Yeah,
tough
it's
to.
kind of like, yeah, this is a brain thinker. Mm, yeah, I can see what you're saying. I can see it now as you're like explaining it. Me, I would say this makes yeah, because when I'm going, okay, yeah. Sorry, this is kind of hard. I'm trying to get the words out and explain it. Yeah, you know how to love that person after you're in a marriage or commitment. You learn to like, how do I love this person more? Like, how do I keep dating this person over and over? Obviously, when you're married, you want to keep doing that. But yeah, because like I love this person because of who they are.
Mhm.
I would say that's all. That's also thing. Like that's how I look at it. Like yes, I love that person because of who they are. I don't love them because I just the word love. Like I have to have an emotion and feeling
Right, right.
that that's okay. So again, like that's how I look at it. Like I love that person because of who they are.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So that kind of relates to what I was going to say. I see a lot of people saying, "I'm learning to love myself," and I think that statement creates a kind of generic connotation to self-love. You can learn to love aspects of yourself, but you don't go into a relationship thinking, oh man, I gotta learn how to love this person. Because if you meet someone and they're not the person for you, you move on to the next. You can't do that with yourself. You are who you are. So you may not love aspects of yourself in which you then go say, okay, I don't like this part of myself. I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to love to learn the process of me fixing it. But you need to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, how can you expect anybody to love you? So you don't learn to love yourself because you are who you are. So you have to love who you are. You just have to learn to love different aspects of yourself, and then if you don't love them, change them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it makes sense because I didn't love myself one period of time, but there was also someone that was good in my life, and it was hard for me to love him because I didn't love myself.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I hated myself because I had that mindset,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have that, so I can welcome into creating a safe place, an environment to welcome love in.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. That makes sense.
Yeah. I think that just that concept of I'm learning to love myself. And when I hear that, I really want to say, what don't you love about yourself? Because those are aspects of yourself that you want to change. And in working to change those things, you will start to love those aspects of yourself. But to say you don't, you're learning to love yourself is kind of almost derogatory to who you are, because you are who you are. I am who I am. I love me more than anybody will ever love me. Now, are there things that I don't like about myself that I want to work on? Absolutely. I want to change some things, and I will work to do that. And through that journey of fixing those things, I will find love for those different aspects. But to say that you're learning to love yourself means obviously that you don't have any self-love. You don't have any, because now you're searching for it in different areas. I'm learning to love. How can you learn to love somebody that you are? You are this person. You may not like the person and you want to change things, but this is who you are. You were born this person, and as you grow up to be this person. So how can you not love that person?
This is really like it's like my brain is like I don't know, maybe it's like this like energy drink that make my brain. No, I'm kidding. No, okay, I get that. Now, hold on. I get okay. So when people say I'm learning to love myself,
Mhm.
because I don't I try to.
This is where it gets tricky. This is where this subject kind of gets tricky, because everybody's kind of definition and understanding of self-love itself is different. My definition of self-love is going to be different from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at self-love as a relationship with myself. So when I think of a relationship, if I meet someone, I'm never learning to love that person. If we don't hit it off, it's done. I'm never going to stay committed to it and say, you know what, I'm going to learn to love this person, no matter what, because it's just not going to work. So if there's things about you that you don't like, things that you want to change, whether it be the way that you look, the way that you handle finances, the path that your life's going on, then you have to accept who you are, understand that this is the person that I am. I'm going to work on it so that I can love these different aspects of myself.
Mm-hmm.
But you as a person, you can't learn to love you. You are you. You love you regardless.
Because sometimes people don't want to love themselves because of the sins and the stuff I'm going on a spiritual aspect now. Some
Okay.
people don't want. Some people are learning to love again because they feel like they're not. Hold on. People are learning to love again because they feel like they don't deserve to accept love from outside.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's a forgiveness on yourself and things that you did and whatever. So that's I can also see it like that because you feel bad for what you have done and now you are learning to love again, but you always been loving yourself, but because of that damage, you feel like it's destroyed, so love doesn't exist. Or now you have to restart over like from the beginning, but you obviously like love has been there, but they don't look at it as love though.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hold on. I gotta find something that I definitely wrote something like this down because my brain is now it's like kind of crazy. Because here's my thing. You can, oh man, you can love strangers, right? So
Yeah,
again, that's a natural thing. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out because I'm kind of like this is challenging me, and this is why I'm kind of like getting a little irritated. Not like irritated like this. I'm just saying irritated 'cause I can't get my words out,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
But it's I don't know. I think the journey of that is interesting because again, I can see why. Hmm, I think also too, it depends. Like maybe also maybe someone's situation they were so used to like from others telling them they aren't loved and all that, but you obviously are always loved. And
Mhm.
people may not ever have heard that ever in their life. And so now they might be saying, I'm learning, to like, I'm learning self love. Like, I'm learning to love myself because they never did because they always felt like, they weren't worthy of love too.
Okay, okay.
They might not even know what love is. Like, and that's actually a normal thing. People don't even know what really love is because they might have never like been like they never had people say like, "Oh wow, I'm proud of you." That's love.
Mm-hmm.
Someone encouraging you.
Hmm.
Again, someone like breaking you down 24/7, like that's not love.
Hmm.
But also love never fails. Like you're still show I don't know. This is tricky. Oh my gosh. But like some people don't know what love is because they've never been around people or things. So
Right.
like learning self love, and I think maybe if you change the verbiage of I'm learning self love to like hold on, uh, I'm embracing my self love journey. Meaning like I'm gonna figure out what love means to me. Then
Hmm.
I'm learning love because love is already out here in the world,
Right,
but
right,
I'm
right.
embracing this self love journey. So again, like the people that come in my life or the things that my peer that are random, I don't know, like the signs, I'm not sure, but like that's how I look at it. Now I'm trying to like dive deeper.
Yeah.
Is if you aren't loved properly, you're gonna think like love is so rare, but it's really normal and it's easy.
Hmm.
Well, it's not easy. Yeah, it's hard, but like it's easy to do something out of a love form, you
Hmm.
know. So that's also maybe why maybe someone say I'm learning self love because maybe they don't even have people around them that even knows how to like do self love in their routine, their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, that's I don't. For me, it was hard for me to understand because if, and I think I take it from the concept that they have things that they don't like about themselves, and
Yeah.
they would rather learn to love themselves with those aspects instead of truly loving themselves and changing those aspects. I think that's where my brain kind of goes when
Hmm.
they say I'm learning to love myself. So it's very, I see it from a standpoint. No, you're right. I see it from a standpoint from where there are uh, weight is a big topic now. Loving yourself, love yourself. Don't worry about what other people think, and
Yeah.
I think that's great. But you can't change the way that you think. So if you look in the mirror and you say, "I don't like myself," but then you say, "I'm just going to learn to love myself," is that truly self love? Because you see something that you don't like and you're saying, I don't like this, I want to change it. But instead of changing it, I'm going to go ahead and just learn to love myself. Is that possible?
Um, I think self love too is loving the good and the bad.
Hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
probably like so. I think I love myself even though I'm not my best self. I still love myself even though I don't feel like myself. So
Yep. Yep.
because there's times I don't feel like myself, but I love myself.
Yep.
I don't know. This is tricky.
It is. it is one of those, like I said, it's one of those subjects that I don't think people, either you believe you're in different groups, different people will agree with each other, and it is just one word is off or one idea is off and another group is clashing because this, that, and other. I know in the personal training world, weight is a big topic where there's a very fine line that you just kind of either you talk about it and you agree or you just leave it alone and just let people kind of have their own thought processes. And the way that I think about it is you do love yourself through the good and bad. I mean, there's things that I wish I want to change, and currently I can't change them. I'm working on it, but even in that sense, I still love the fact that it's not something that I truly like about myself, but I'm willing to work on it. That's what helps me love that aspect, despite it being something that I find negative within myself. But if you know you can change it, it just takes work. It just takes a little effort. Mm-hmm. And you just choose not to do it because it's just easier to say, I'm going to learn to love myself. Can you truly ever find that love without even making the effort to try to change it?
Gotcha. This makes sense now. See, it took me like 30 minutes to understand. Okay, yeah, you don't love yourself then. I'll say that. If you want to change something and you don't want to do it, you don't love yourself then.
Right. That's what that's just kind of what the thought process that kind of comes to me when I hear that I'm learning to love myself. Because there's different areas of that. Like you said, there's times where you don't even know what love is. You've been in so many bad relationships, you've been in so many bad friendships, that it's almost like a myth to you. You know it's there, you know it exists, but you've never felt it. So you're learning to love yourself so that you can feel that emotion and understand that, yes, it is possible. And then you go seek those things out. I absolutely 100% agree. But there's also that generic form of self-love is, this is who I am. I don't like it. I could change it, but I'm just going to learn to love myself. Is that really self-love? If you know you can change it, you can do it. You just choose not to, but then you put that connotation on it that I'm just going to learn to love myself. I don't think you can ever really truly, because it's always going to be in the back of your mind saying, yeah, it's something I really want to change, but I just don't want to do it.
Gotcha. Okay, so maybe I see. So maybe people are saying that I know I need to change. I don't want to change it, but I'm gonna keep learning to love myself, even despite there's something that I can see. So it's basically like you're manipulating your own idea of love. Then you know what, you're compromising your self-love, basically. Mm-hmm. Okay, now see, because like for me, it was hard to understand kind of where you're going, because I was like, I can see why someone's saying like having affirmation like I'm learning to love myself, because despite people that might hurt them and they're so used to betrayal and all that, so they might have the affirmation. But then if you are actually like saying that and you're working on it, but you don't, you're saying it and you know what needs to be worked on and you don't work on it. And so, but then you're going to still go back like, I'm learning to keep loving myself. Well, you're not really loving yourself properly is what I'm saying. Because if it was properly, then you would change that. So then you can move forward and love yourself more deeply. Because some people are like, they love themselves on a surface level. Deeply means like you're going like internal work, like you love this feeling, but like when again, you're in a bad position, how do you still love yourself? Let's say you are like, your bank account's at zero. You have nothing right now. I can still love myself because of who I am without having nothing. So again, I see that. Like, because it's an internal, like my love is internal than outside. Like, yes, I can show love, but if I don't receive love inside, then I can't give that out. Because I can have like nothing. Give me a piece of paper and a pen or a book. Like that's my self-love. I'm good. I don't have to have, a house on the hill or Mercedes in the parking lot. Like that's cool. That's someone else's like form of like the materialistic things, you know.
Mhm.
But again, I see what you're saying now is that the more things that you can do better by loving in a way of like, for example, um, yeah, like how you talk to yourself. Okay, well, instead of talking to yourself negatively, talk more positive. But you're still talking negatively. But like, oh, I'm just going to keep learning to love myself. But like, learning never happens if you're not studying again. So you have to actually do the work and it actually like quiz yourself, take the test, but also like you got to pass it some way or the other. Otherwise, you're still like recycling and going in the same circle over and over again. Is
Yes.
that kind of where we're going? Because I'm
Yes.
thinking.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, all right. Because I was
Yes.
about to get mad because I was like, I don't even think I'm making sense, but I'm trying to. So like, it was challenging me this whole thing. I didn't think about it like that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of my thought process on it. Like, if there's things that you don't like about yourself, and that you can change them, you can. It's absolutely possible. It just takes time. It takes work, and it takes you putting in the effort. But then you just say, well, I'm just going to learn to love myself despite the fact that I want to change. It's kind of, you're kind of contradicting yourself because you don't, obviously, you don't like yourself because you want to change it. There's something that you want to change. But instead of putting in the work and taking the time to do it, you would rather just say, I'm just going to learn to love despite that I have no love for it. I'm going to learn to love it. And then you're kind of putting yourself in a box there you can't move. It's just every day. I'm going to learn to love it. Well, I could change it. I'm going to learn to love it. Like you said, you're not putting any effort into it, so you're almost demeaning the love that you could have for yourself because you're not taking the steps to actually put forth the effort to truly love yourself.
Okay, so maybe let's say they don't understand self love, then they need to do like a self discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, self discovery would make sense because now you can interpret things that for what it is, and maybe it's like love might be you're so used to it as like a bad perception. Like, hold on. Self discovery mean like, hey, love. Since you've been through bad, like crazy things, love for you might be toxic. But looking at it and discovering more internal, like yourself, you can see that wow, like I can laugh, I'm smiling, like the joy, like that's love because you're getting like an emotion from that. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like love does that. Love puts a smile on our faces. Love gives us like that warm feeling in our heart, but you have to like self discover that yourself before understanding what that
Mm-hmm.
means.
I get that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you could have, so let's say for example, like you have this perfect, like not perfect, but this good person that comes to your life, and you don't even realize that because you're. This topic is really sorry. I'm
It's okay.
getting like usually I'm like good at this, but this is like kind of stumbling me. Like doing self discovering yourself, and this might be going back to your identity. You know,
Mm-hmm.
your identity is actually like latching onto bad things that don't bring you love, and
Mm-hmm.
so now you're trying to find a better feel of what love could be. Like my own version might be different from someone else's version. But that's because of how I discover interpret love now because I had to find that and seek for it and actually like it's the stuff that I do all day or every day, you know. That just love to me. Like love is how I not only put a smile on my face, but a smile on someone else's face. It might not be a family or friend, it might be a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
I did something out of what I felt like doing that warms my heart.
Mm-hmm.
That my heart feels full from doing it. But
Mm-hmm.
it didn't take a lot for me to do that. So again, I didn't have to removing myself from a negative or bad environment place and then finding a place where I can feel safe at, but also welcoming others that can feel safe made me understand more of what love is. Love is like taking the risk. Love is challenging who I am. Love is finding and sacrificing things for what I really truly do want that
Mm-hmm.
I don't have now. So again, it's just like there's so many different levels to it where like I see people are basically like I guess you can say self-sabotaging themselves. So they
Yeah.
don't have the idea what love is because they're self-sabotaging stuff. Like you're saying, I'm gonna do this, whatever, but you're still doing bad to yourself. You're not ever going to get good when you aren't trying to discover, like, you're not trying to do the things that are good, though. You're still stuck in your own way that you're going to stay there. So I'm going to keep trying to learn. What you learn and what you apply it to is two different things.
Yes.
So that is all. Okay, this makes sense. Now, okay. When you learn something, you learn it. You're obtaining it, but when you obtain it and what you do with it is two different things. I can obtain it and keep it in and still not understand it, but me applying to it, I find out what that really means, like what that how it looks in my perception, in my point of view,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm applying it from what I'm receiving. So again, people might learning, like, they are receiving it, but they're not like receiving to the full extent. Like, okay, like, I hear you, but like, let me show you. Like, that's two different things too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, how do you show yourself? Like, you know? So
Right.
again, I receive it, I hear, I'm, getting, the therapy sessions, like my therapist is telling me all these things, but like what I do after that session is completely different. If I don't do anything, then that was, I'm not sure, a waste of time, or maybe that just, I don't know, maybe you're just being stubborn. Who knows? But when you're doing something after you receiving something is different. So that makes sense. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to feel better about my body. So I'm going to say good affirmation when I look in the mirror or I'm not going to judge myself. But if you are constantly keep doing the same cycle that you're used to and not doing something differently, then you're not loving yourself, because love is trying to see what's in the present that you can do better, but actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Not just talking about it, but doing. That's why I said, like, I want to be around doers, not talkers.
Right.
Because you can talk about a lot, but doing is completely different. You get more results by doing than talking. I'm learning, but like, okay, let me do it now, because then I can share that to someone else that might be in the same position I once was before. And that's how you know you're growing, when you're helping someone in a situation that you used to be in, but you're no longer there.
Yep. I agree. Yeah.
It's making sense now, because
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of feel like any idea that I have. So anytime I have an idea, I feel like it's the version of myself that I want to be is kind of whispering in my ear, this is the next step you need to take to get to where you want to be. So any idea that I have, whether it be I need to get up earlier, or I need to read more, or I need to put more time into programming for clients or marketing, or whatever it may be, that's the version of myself that I'm striving to be, giving me the roadmap, whispering in my ear, hey, you need to do this. This is what you need to do. So when I look at it from that concept, if somebody says, and I go to weight a lot just because that's my industry, somebody says, I want to lose weight. That's that version of themselves as they're wanting to be, telling them, hey, this is the next step for you to kind of progress to the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
And then that person's like, so I have the thought, this is the next step. And they're like, I just need to learn to love myself. Is that possible? Is that truly this is the version of yourself? The idea is there. It happened. It's there. It's spontaneous. And it may not, and I don't think that people really realize that the weight is not the issue. It's really not. It's the process and the journey of it that is going to help you learn to love who you are. We equate it a lot of times when I talk to potential clients, I want to lose weight, and I want to lose it in a specific time. And in my mind, I know it's going to be very, very hard. It's going to be a tough journey, and I will help you get there. But what I know is going to happen is that the process of it, the journey of it, they're going to build and learn to love aspects of themselves that they never thought possible. A lot of women have this idea that I don't want to lift weights because I'm going to get bulky like a man. But then when they come in and they start lifting weights, they find out, oh, I'm stronger than I thought. I love that. I love the fact that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I'm lifting more weight than I ever thought possible. And the idea of the weight kind of gets pushed in a distant background because they're discovering more things about themselves than they thought possible. I like to run. I didn't know I liked to run. Or I like to squat. I didn't know I liked to squat. It always looked hard. And I think that's what the idea kind of generates. It generates a journey and a process for you to kind of discover things about yourself that you never would have ever discovered had you not just taken that first step of, I have the idea, I want to lose weight, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the weight is a small part of what is missing in what you're looking for in yourself. It's a very small piece because weight can be manipulated. It can be, I'm heavier than I was when I was skinnier, but I look better than I did when I was skinnier. So it's not, weight is a side thought once you get on the process. But if you never take that step and you're just like, I'm just going to learn to love myself as I am, then you're kind of missing out on aspects that could lead you into true love of yourself and then allow you to share different aspects of yourself with the world or your partner or your friends. And I think that's what's missing when we use the generic connotation of self-love. The world misses out on aspects of ourselves that we could share because we just say, I'm going to learn to love myself as I am, not fix the things that I know I need to work on and I want to work on. I'm just going to learn to love, like you said, repeat the process. I'm going to learn to love. I'm going to learn to love instead of taking the actions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this makes sense. Hold on, I was going to mention something. Gotcha. Okay, let me, because the more that we were talking about self-love, the more I was challenging myself. Like, what is, I know what self-love to me, I know what it, like my version of it.
Yeah.
But I think this is where we're going. 'Cause I feel like this is a year like level up mode. And so I think I'm trying to figure out maybe like self-discovery is another good way of like, if maybe it's hard to find, it's hard to, I guess, start somewhere if you're so used to like the dark things and dark times to like figure out what like self-love it might be a big, like that's a big topic. So like to like lessen the workload for yourself and trying to find that is self-discovery. Like I discovered more things about myself when I had to do things that I needed to do. Like so like going into the gym, I discovered that like I'm more disciplined. Like I love the things about myself because I'm so disciplined. Like I I show up. I'm a self-starter. Like I don't have to wait for someone to tell me something. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna find out a way. So these are things that I love that no one can tell me. Someone could tell me, and this is also a thing too. The more you love yourself, the more critics are gonna come because people are going to see that. You don't have to talk about it. People are going to see that. They're going to see that in the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you handle things, the way a bad situation, you look at the positive, the outcome out of it. So again, like that's love. Like the fact that you're able to troubleshoot that in your mind, like the fact that your mind is able to look at a positive, even though you're in a negative situation, is self-love to me. Like, because again, you're teaching yourself good principles that a lot of people don't know how to, and you're loving yourself where people are going to other things to get validation to like, oh yeah, but like, am I doing this good? Or like, do I have the right credit for that? Because again, the more that you're doing more for yourself, the more people are going to try to tell you about yourself. And that's what's funny because it's like, all right. And the more that you're doing good, people are going to come in and try to tear that down. So you're going to realize that, when you're in your self-love journey, when people are trying to tell you what they should be doing, because like they're going to try to tell you what you need to be doing, but it's really they're projecting because they need to do it. You can't tell someone about their self-love journey because it's personal. Like that's weird. Like that's just like kind of like a red flag in my opinion. Like that's just like really like, okay, you don't need those people in your life. No offense. Like I don't care who it is, but like that's weird. Like, that's a boundary where you gotta put up, because like I don't have time. I don't need those people around me trying to do all that with what I got going on. Because the more good that you're doing, the more bad it's going to try to like come and distract you and knock you off, and it's going to make you feel like you're going to go back in your old ways and old habits, because you're knocking those down and forming new habits and talking to yourself differently and going about things. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of that, and that's where I wouldn't recommend like posting. Hold on, I wouldn't post your self-love journey on the internet, because I say this, if you're like just starting out on that, I wouldn't post it, because people are going to try to have their own version of how it should be. And I think people love having their opinions. I mean, that's what it is, but you're not going to, I mean, I don't know. If you're strong enough to handle that, great. But if you're not, and like, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't back then, because I was like so weak minded, which is great. Like, I'm glad to admit I was weak minded, but you can't think you're going to go on beginner stage and then handle the expert level of the critics and stuff, because it's going to be difficult. It's going to actually make you like, okay, this, I don't want to do this no more, you know?
Right.
But that's where I'm at, because this social media thing, I'm cleansing. And so now I have other friends that are like, I want a social media cleanse, but I need to do this and that. I'm like, well, like, if you want it, you'll do it, right? So you know it's going to help you and your love, like you're loving yourself and just feeling good about yourself overall. But if you're constantly putting a butt to something, well, I'm not really sure what you want me to do. You're trying to adjust something that is not good for you, but you're trying to get the outcome of what you ultimately want. And you can't do that. You have to like figure out, okay, well, if you have to do marketing, you're active and do all that. If you have to delete your Instagram every single day, then do it every single day. If you have to buy, like, get an app to post your own content, do that. If you have to plan once a week for the entire week of content you need to put out, you don't have to do that. Like, I don't know, like, so again, like, that's where the self-sabotage, like, you're learning to love yourself, but you're not trying to like love yourself thoroughly, because you're limiting. Oh, well, I need to do that, but I'm just really so tired. I need to do this for myself, but like, so why aren't you doing it then?
Right.
And that's where like I'll be honest with you, I'm very like straightforward, where I'm like, I'm trying to like lessen back of, putting my opinion on things. Like, if you're coming for advice, I'm gonna just tell you straight up, because I just can't stand the like, well, like, I need this for myself and da da. I'm like, okay, well, you're trying to do this for yourself. Next week, you're still having the same conversation. You're not gonna do it. Like, so you don't really love yourself, because
Right.
you aren't trying to remove what's not making you feel good, and you're not trying to swap it out with something that will make you feel better,
Mhm.
you know
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's just me, because now that I like have this very big mindset of like, I don't put excuses, I make it happen. I'm great at problem solving because I love myself. I'm able to do that. I love challenge, because it makes me like have to think outside the box, and it makes me like have to do the self work, the inner talk, because I can't ask someone to do that, because I need to figure out my own plan of how I go about it. So I love that I can do that for myself, because no one can do it for me. So again, I take pride in that, because it took a lot for me to be able to do this naturally, because it wasn't always like that. But again, it started by, okay, applying principles that would allow me to be in a position where I am today. So again, like, how they say like your future self will thank you. Like, what would you tell your younger self? Because your younger self was not like who I am right now, but I had to become a better version of what I wanted to be, and I'm living that right now. But it took for things that I had to remove and swap it out and apply it in a different way and address it where it was going to be self-sufficient. It wasn't going to be like keeping me like in the chokehold and all that. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to set myself free. Like, that's one thing too. I think that people self-love is really just setting yourself free from chains and blockage by allowing yourself to be more open to better things that you're wanting. You can't want better but not do the things that will help you get better, though.
Yep. Yep. I think
That was
great. That was great. And I think when you said it, it reminded when you said self discovery, it reminded me of a quote from Will Smith, and he said that exact thing. Self discovery is self love. You have to discover the things about yourself that are going to make you happy.
Yeah.
And if you understand what is going to make you happy, then you can start to transition to those things
Mm-hmm.
through action, through the act of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what's going to make you happy and you don't do it,
Mm-hmm.
then how can you apply that to self love? Because it's not. You
Yeah.
know what's going to make you happy. You've discovered what you need, whether it be go back to school, whether it read more books, take time for yourself, interact with people in the field that you want to be in, whatever it may be. And then you say, well, no, I just don't have the time, or yeah, I'm not going to do that. How can you apply that to self love? It's
Mm-hmm.
the opposite of it. Like you said, you're self sabotaging. You know
Yeah.
exactly what you need to do, but then you say, there's every excuse, the but. Self sabotage. You can't learn to love yourself if you're constantly self sabotaging yourself, because then you're just doing what other people in the past or whoever made you feel unloved is actually has done. You're doing it to yourself. And maybe that is a learned thing. Like you said, it's been a part of your life for so long that that's your version of love. And so you need to learn to love in a different way. That's self discovery. How do I
Yeah.
love differently so that I can love myself more, and then in turn invite people into my life that are going to reciprocate that same type of love. So self discovery definitely is the way to then get self love.
Yeah. And you just said that too, like doing it in a different way. Because because this might, if people don't understand it, they might be doing what they think is self love,
Mm-hmm.
but self love is supposed to come out with a positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, also that, because you might think self love, like, oh, like I'm gonna just drink a bottle of wine every other day. That's my self love. I watch some Netflix. No, like, I'm being scared because, like, I'll be honest with you, like that in my head, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like eat healthy, right? I'm gonna eat healthy, cook a meal, but I'm gonna drink like wine. And then I realized I'm drinking like a couple glasses of wine. So I'm like, I'm, I'm eating inside, but I'm also like, I'm working out. So I'm like containing all those calories from the wine. So again, like when you get very disciplined, when you start achieving those milestones, you're going to realize like, hey, well, I'm not going to be able to add that. I'm going to add it on just the weekends, because then it's like you're going to like not get your results. So you're going to find your own game plan once you get better by your own game that you put in motion. So again, like self-love is supposed to come with a positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I say the whole like wine, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm saying that I was doing that for a while, but I wasn't getting the results. I was like, dang, like I'm in the gym like for 3 months, but I just don't see any progress. But also I'm analyzing, oh, well, I mean, I am consuming all my calories back up, but I can't do that, right? So again, like my self-love is going to be like, you know what? I'm still going to cook a nice dinner, but maybe it's not going to have a glass of wine every single night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's me being just like hard on myself. I am. I don't care, because it's just like I gotta do better, right? Like I gotta do better than what I'm doing right now, because obviously that's the goal of progressing. But yeah, self love is supposed to come with a positive thing, not like a negative thing. Like
Right.
love, like you can't. You don't want to do. You want to do better, not worse.
Yeah.
And everyone's self love, and I hate. This is just me, but people like on social media, the hashtag self love, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of it you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But someone's self love isn't your self love. And
Right.
that's why I feel like I'm glad I'm off social media for a little bit, because that whole thing, like those memes people are sharing, just because people are posting a quote doesn't mean they're actively living that. You have to be actively participating into your self-love journey by applying the things that needs to like appear. Like you need to, let's say you're not laughing as much. So like you need to like self-love. You need to like do things, get yourself moving, find the joy, find the spark. You definitely will find the spark when you take time for yourself. And I think too, people are so, frustrated and irritable because they know they want to be in a different position, but they're not doing the right thing to help them get out of that position. So again, you have to do things that you just need to get rid of it's like the bad habits ultimately. Like, remove bad habits, take acknowledge them, swap them out with better habits. You're going to discover more things that are going to serve you in your best interest. So then it's a positive reward. And then you're going to be able to see the self-love like me, like, wow, I did that for myself and I feel better about myself. Now I can do better for myself and those that I love that are around me. And so those that are around me can see it too. So then they're going to be able to pour into me and I pour into them. And that's how you create a great environment and setting for yourself, because it's like the people that are around you, you can see that you're doing good for you. So they're going to want to do good for you and they're going to add that to you. I'm adding value into who you are because now I see that you're wanting more for yourself. And now I can actually do my part, because my part I couldn't do because you have to do your first part. The first part is you doing it for you. Then someone else or people around you can do more for you. People can give you a little bit, but they can't give it all because they know they can't, because they were like that before in your shoes. But they can only push you to at least take the first start and steps for you, then allow yourself to give the grace and love the process, the journey of it, because you rather fail many times so then you can see what you can do better, because it failed because what you thought was working wasn't working. So now you can find a better way that will help you work this time. So then it can lead you and you're getting results then, because you think it's not working. Obviously it's failing because it's failing. Like, you got to readjust. So then it doesn't fail. And then now that you see that it didn't fail, okay, now you're going to keep that. You're going to add more value to it. You're going to water, you're going to harvest it for more seeds that you can apply from that. And it can like sprout everywhere else that you're trying to do more in your life.
Mm-hmm. I think you just summed it up perfectly. I think you summed it up perfectly. And I think that's always what I've been. It's very, like I said, it's a very touchy subject because, like you said, people see it differently.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that self-love is betterment of oneself. And through that betterment, you find the love, not of just yourself, but the journey that you've taken to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't take the journey and we're just content with just, well, there's things that I could work on, but I'm just going to learn to love where I am, you'll never be truly happy. You'll never feel that love for yourself. And then, like you said, the people then that just then come into your life, the good ones, you may not see it because you're so focused on where you are. And then the people that do come in your life just add to that kind of negative connotation of love. And now you're just left with that and kind of feeling like, I feel like I need to learn to love because I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of taking those steps, moving forward, finding that love in the journey, finding that love in yourself, attracting those people that will then, like you said, pour into the cup that you already have poured into, and really feel the joy and happiness and love that is there for you to have, but you've got to take the steps to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was reading this book. It's called The Uninvited. It was about like feeling lonely or like you don't fit in or you feel like you're left out. Well, that's where, like, we were talking about selfish and separation, like that feeling of what you may be feeling, like you might be like doing your thing, you're committed to like your goals and doing better for you. So you're going to feel like, oh, you're not getting invited, or you feel left out because you're seeing your friends post being out and about on social media, but you're working on yourself. You're adding self-love because you're not making yourself available. You're keeping yourself hidden. Not saying like you're like off the grid, but like you're doing stuff for you that you need to do in your own space. And so that makes you feel like, oh, well, like, I guess I don't love myself as much because everyone else is smiling in their Instagram stories, they're having a good time, but that doesn't matter. So again, like that's also too a downfall. Like is social media what looks like on like the smiles and the laughter and whatever it is, like the scenery, the locations they're at. But like you realize that, when you feel like you're like people aren't checking in or you feel lonely or uninvited or like you're not with the crowd, like that's what I'm talking about, the selfish and separation. Like that's where you find more of the things that you wouldn't have found if you didn't go in that like place and setting of your life or that season. You find so much more when you're like when there's not a lot of voices going on. It's just you and your space and there's not a lot of noise. That's where you find the little like gems, in my opinion. And I was reading this book because I was ordering like tons of books. So I already knew like, okay, I'm gonna be off social media. I'm gonna have to be reading books. So I ordered like a bunch load, and I was reading this poetry book. It's like the like Tupac wrote, and the one of the poems he had like the rose that grew from the concrete. It's like he came from poverty and all that, right? But he still valued himself. He looked at himself like he was a rose from concrete. Obviously, that doesn't make sense because you like, well, it needs soil and all that. But despite all that, he still treasures himself. He still loved himself, even with everyone trying to tell him who he was, like this black man, and he wasn't going to make it, and he's just going to live, and he's going to be like doing drugs and all that. But he still valued himself through like craziness and the stuff that was around him. Like he had to go through some tough times, but at the same time, like he still looked at himself like he was a rose, even though it didn't make sense. Like, oh, concrete from the rose from the concrete. Like you're probably like, well, that doesn't make sense. But like he didn't care that other people didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to them, but it made sense for him because he knows himself. He loves himself despite whatever his upbringing was and whatever his situation was. He still knew who he was regardless of what others were trying to tell him or what he had. He know what he had, and it was his heart, his gift, his stuff that makes him happy. Even when people are going to try to tear you down or try to tell you what you should be and what you should be doing, you still know what love feels like. Love, it's despite again like all the extra stuff and the darkness that the words make. You find love in words. You find love at looking at the weights. You find love painting. You find love looking in the sky, daydreaming, like all these things. Now when you are in those settings of like, okay, let's say like you love the gym, that's self-love. Like you're going to the gym doing a workout or with clients, like you're obviously like going to go there all the time because even when frustrated or when things are hard, go to the places that you feel this love from. And it's not saying like you can't feel love from your wife or your boyfriend or cousin, all that, but like if they aren't around, where can you go to? What places can you get that feeling of love? What's something that you do that gives you that feeling of love? Like again, like that paintbrush or that pen, that writing down like a song or putting a song together, like I don't know, anything that it's a gift. I think too, like your self-discovery is the journey of finding gifts, not just one gift, because my identity isn't just from writing. My identity is like my personality, like the gym, the anything, like speaking, I don't care. Like, so again, like your self-discovery is your gifts because the world is going to try to tell you who you should be, what you should be doing. That's where social media, we as people, we influence the social media, and we hopefully can do better by that, by giving out, good wisdom, whatever, and knowledge. But again, I think that when we remove ourselves from things that are trying to tell us or what it should look like, you are on the road of your self-discovery and your journey of what brings you love, what brings the light into your life, even when it does feel dark at times. You got to find those things because one situation, like one bad thing, and the gratitude full of other great things that you have around you, like obviously like it like surpasses that bad thing happening in your life or that bad thought that you're having, because you still have all these things that make you valuable of who you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you have kind of, in a way, again, I think you've kind of segued into what could be our next conversation. And I think that is the importance of self discovery and the journey. I don't think people really understand, and you brought it together, the gifts that come from the journey. And I think that's a really important
Oh yeah.
topic that we can touch on because I think, I truly think that without pursuing the things that are going to in turn boost the way that we love ourselves, we do miss out on gifts that we can share with people. I think we are intended to discover things about ourselves that we can share with the world. And when we don't do that, then the world misses out on beautiful pieces and beautiful gifts that you can share.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
But I'm going to need some time to collect my thoughts on that one
Oh,
because
yeah. No, it's true because gifts are very powerful, and there's so many like if you like start writing down like some bullet list of like gifts that you're, whatever it may be. Some people might have like it takes up an entire page, or it might take up half the page, but like those are still gifts. They're still powerful pieces. You can continuously keep adding to gifts because your gifts are like your growth.
Mhm.
Like gifts are going from the growing pains and acknowledging those pains into finding your gain. So like the gifts, the things that you didn't see then, but you see them now and it comes naturally. So yeah, that's a whole different topic because gifts, like, I can't, you gotta, yeah, everyone's gifts are from their inner inside.
Mhm.
Like I can't say like what someone's gift is. Obviously, like influencers or like, rappers, all that, they have a gift of their words. They have gifts and how they then bring to the community, or it's not just rappers, anyone. Like, they have a gift of being able to do something that someone needs. They need to hear, they need to like that service or whatever it is,
Mhm.
you have a gift of being challenged and getting things done. You have a gift of communicating with people, different types of people, personalities, ethnic groups, all that. You have a gift of staying disciplined. So then you're being a leader for what someone else needs. Like, you know what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
can't just have that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a leader. Like, well, how though? Like, like
Right. Yeah.
you can say that, you can make it sound good, like, oh yeah, I'm this leader, but like, are you though? Like, so it shows by like what you do, how you talk, how you speak, like, and the words are very powerful. Like, so again, how you talk like to yourself is very important. So I can see like, oh, someone that knows themselves is because they are able to tell me about who they are. Like if you're in an interview, so tell me about yourself. Well, if you're constantly like hesitant, it's like, well, you're unsure. And not even saying that because you might be nervous, but also like if you know yourself, you're like, oh yeah, so I love doing da da da, because like these are things that you found about yourself, and then you're able to story tell and tell someone else like how you're able to find that. Like, oh, what made you do that? Oh, well, back then this happened, blah blah. This person helped me, or whatever. Like
Mhm.
you're discovering more things about yourself that you didn't before. But yeah, we can talk about that in a different topic in a different time.
Because we can go on and on. I think
Yeah,
we
for sure.
absolutely. All right, so we're going to end this. Self love. Self love. Uh, Closing remarks on self love.
Yes. So we're going to talk about self-discovery next week.
Yes, we're going to talk about self discovery next week. Journey, self talk, gifts, all that roll into one. Self love is, in my opinion, discovering the things that make you happy and then going after them. Without the action of
Mm,
going after them,
yeah.
I think you lose a lot of what self love, what the love that you have for yourself. You lose a lot of it, and you're
Mhm.
left with what you have, what may be what you know, but if it's not making you happy, then we have to change it.
Yeah.
Change it, and you lose out on
Yeah.
that
And I think too, like I would hate for someone to do something that doesn't. I mean, if it's not making you happy, just end that now. Don't even try to like. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's fine. No, I just feel like people are like, oh well, this might make me happy, but if it's not making you happy, then like just don't even worry about it. Like on to the next,
Right. Absolutely.
like squash that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to end it for today, and we will be back next week with another great topic that we've segued into. I can't wait. I've got a lot of notes
Mhm.
to look at and want to get my thoughts in order, but I think it's going to be another great conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, see you next week. Have a good week.
You too.
All right, bye.